And for this week's Smith Business Close-Up, we're on location at the Robert H. Smith School of Business at the University of Maryland, joined by Ken White, who is Assistant Dean of Marketing Communications. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you for visiting us. It's great to have you here.
It's good to be here. You teach a course on writing. Is that one of the things that we all think we're above average at?
Amen. That's the case. We do a lot of teaching of effective writing with executives. And when you think of the effective executive, you usually picture a wonderful speaker and someone who's a gifted writer. Unfortunately, that's not often the case. Those skills may have been there at one time, but as more responsibilities are added to the executive's plate or the CEO's plate, sometimes those skills, they lack a little bit. So they have to stay on top of it. And writing is one of those things they need to work on.
Does good writing maybe matter less than it used to in this fast-paced universe of social media communication and email? Has there been an impact?
I think that's one of the reasons some executives struggle, because there is so much. We write constantly, right? You think of the executive, he or she is doing this with the BlackBerry all the time, or they're doing this on the keyboard. They're writing so much that we're starting not to think much about the quality of what we do. And I think it's the sheer amount of the writing that the average executive and business professional does that is actually causing us to maybe lose it a little bit. We're not as good as we used to be.
How is business writing different from other forms of writing, the way we may have been taught in school to write?
I think the main thing I talk to executives about, and they agree all the time, is the importance of being concise as possible. And these days we are bombarded. Every one of us has an inbox filled with emails, right? And we want to read what's on the web and in the paper. We have so much to consume, but if you need to get your message across, it has to be concise, and we just push that constantly.
Especially the executive level people you teach, are they maybe reluctant to have somebody edit or ghostwrite or proofread their stuff?
That's an interesting question.
I mean, do they feel at the Master of the Universe stage, right, do you feel like if I wrote it, it's good?
I'd have a different answer 10 years ago, because social media is what changed that. In the old days, the CEO would never think twice about going to someone who's in my position, someone in marketing or communications, saying, I need to get something out to the staff, write this for me. But now, especially with blogs and with Twitter, the audience demands and expects the author to be the author. So you can't ghostwrite a blog. You can't be a CEO and have a Twitter account and have someone over there in marketing doing the writing for you. And that's part of the problem. So now CEOs, their plates are so full, and all executives, now they have to do their own writing as well. That's a burden.
Of the techniques that you teach, what's applicable to the rest of us at the non-CEO level? What's important in business communications and just other, even social media communications?
Yeah, absolutely. Even kids in school. I think of my own children, and it's not very different from talking to my middle schooler about writing than it is to a CEO. And the first thing is, whatever we're writing, for whatever the purpose, we tend to just jump in feet first. And I think of my daughter when I see her at the computer and I say, what are you doing, honey? And she said, a book report. My first question is obvious. Did you read the book? Fortunately, she usually has. And then I'll say, so what are you going to write about? And that's what we try to talk to everybody about. Executive, non-executive, business, non-business. What is it you're trying to say? And think about that first. Think about that message statement or your thesis statement. Get that set, and then go. Because what we usually do is just sit there and bang it out. PowerPoint, why do we always go to the PowerPoint slides and start writing? That's backwards. We should write the presentation first, then go to the slides.
Good stuff. Ken White from the Robert H. Smith School of Business, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming.